Hi, Alan. Welcome to our podcast, The Simply Being by Niwwrd. And why don't you start with telling a little bit about you, what you do? I mean, I'm sure people who are looking at this podcast, they already know you, but a little bit of what work you have done so far and what you're doing right now would help us a little bit.
Okay. So thank you for having me on the podcast. My name is Derosier. I'm 36 years old, and I've been a car designer for the past 13 years, a bit more than that. I come from the west of France, Brittany. My parents were not into cars at all, but actually they were both pretty creative. My mother used to paint a lot when I was a kid, and my father was a garden architect. So I grew up in a creative environment, but not a car environment. And then I fell in love with cars when I was 9 years old. A friend of my parents visited and actually was very much into cars. And it was a day when I was bored, and he took me to a car auction. And then the obsession started.
Yes.
So to become a car designer, I had a couple of options. We didn't have internet, so I didn't know what school to do and so on, what studies to do. Everybody was pushing me to do an art school, but I decided to do an engineering school instead. I pushed myself because actually it was something I didn't initially liked. And now it has become kind of my passion because that's what I do on my free time. I restore old cars and stuff like that. I really, really enjoy it now. And that helped me also in my career. So I did engineering school from my 16 years old to 18 years old. And then after that, I went to a design school, and I went to ID Torino in Italy. After that, my car design career started. I was lucky enough to get an internship first at Daihatsu Toyota in Osaka, 2012. And then I stayed there for 2 years. After that, I moved to it started as an internship, but then they offered me a job after my internship, so I started my career there. And then after that, I moved to Cherry in Shanghai, where I stayed for 3 years. I had the chance to do the 2016 and 2017 show car. I worked on a couple of production cars, and then on my free time, I did this project, the Porsche 908 Longtail Vision, which was seen by Porsche, and they visited Shanghai. We did a video for the YouTube channel and so on. And you can check on YouTube, or if you don't know.
I think everybody knows about that project of yours because it's so well done, and I think that's definitely has set a benchmark for all the young designers to look up to, because that's something which is so creative and out of the box, and it came from a person who was not in the company, so it sort of set the trend of actually pushing the designers to think a little bit more than what they usually do. So I think that was just magnificent.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, actually it's kind of you to say that, because it's actually before we did this project, you could rarely see a free time project with this level of quality, but now it's kind of the norm. There are many people that are doing crazy projects on their free time, and I'm glad that if it has been a kind of motivation or inspiration for them. But yeah, 2016 when it came out, it was not really a big thing to do projects like that. Yeah.
So, Alan, you spoke a lot about, moving around and trying to figure out what really is working for you. You also, you had an option of either going to an art school or an engineering school. So do you see that car design, how do you see car design? Do you see it as an art or an engineering discipline or a form of storytelling?
So I'm often having this conversation about is car design and art, and from my point of view, I don't like to see it that way. I know that a lot of people that are out of the car design world, they have the tendency to say that we are artists. I don't really see myself as an artist. I don't. Maybe also it's because of what the term art means nowadays, and I don't really associate myself to that. But I basically, why I decided to be a car designer is because of the emotional aspect it had on me, like how it has affected me emotionally. When I discovered all these beautiful cars, it really touched me, and I wanted to do this job to translate the same emotion that I felt. So I wanted to be able to at my level also give that to the people. So I think it's a balance. For me, I see it more as we are trying to give a beautiful shape to a function. That's how I would describe it. I don't know if it's an art, but I believe that's the best way to put it. We have a task. We are given a task. There are functions to fulfill. And it's our job to magnificent to make this function the most beautiful in the most beautiful way.
I think that is so simply put, and I think that makes so much sense because like having, we have heard quite about this line quite a lot, that form follow functions, but I feel like it's in car design, it's both ways. Sometimes the form follows function, and sometimes function follows form, because that's where the innovation in car design starts to happen. So I agree with you that it's definitely a balance of both. But what was also interesting that you said was that you wanted to put out the emotions that you felt when you started, like when you got into cars, and how they made you feel. So in today's world, what emotions do you think a well-designed car should evoke in people?
I think it all depends on the function that it fulfills. For example, a sports car, it should invite you. It should how to say, challenge you, or it should push you to. It should extract the best of yourself. It should give you confidence and so on. A family car, it should. I think it should be more friendly, maybe. It should. It's for the family, so it should be practical on the inside. It should not be too aggressive. It should be comfy. A sports car, it's inside. It should be, in my opinion, purposely sought out. So it should be all about the function. How you're gonna sit. How you're gonna be able to, to handle the car as best as possible, and so on. I don't think there is just one answer. It comes to the product that you have to design. Yeah.
So, like what you said about there has to be an intent, right, of what we're doing and what kind of emotions do we really want to focus on when we're designing a car. So do you think that at times that when we are working to design a car, because of a lot of engineering aspect of the reality that exists around making a car, it's it stops you from being artistic or having that kind of freedom to go all out. So how much of your process is artistic freedom versus engineering reality?
Here again, it depends on the project. There are some projects that require more. I'd say we have less flexibility, and it's more about purely fulfilling the function and trying to do it in the most beautiful way possible. If I take an example, that was very much the case for the Radford Pikes-Peak car that we did. The car, we had two challenges. One was to win with this car in our class, and then to be the most beautiful car of Pikes Peak 23. Yeah. We've managed to fulfill both functions. I'm pretty happy about that. So the car won in the exhibition class, and then it was elected. There is not really an official election, but like the organization and the people said that it was the most beautiful car of Pikes Peak. But when it started, it was very challenging because, for example, young people probably would see that as an asset or as a positive thing. But we had to widen the car more than 100 mil per side, yeah, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. And to make that look beautiful, it was kind of challenging. Yeah. And then also we had cooling. We had a certain amount of cooling because of the altitude at Pikes Peak. We are lacking oxygen, so we needed some like really, really specific functions to fulfill. Also the diffuser on the rear, like many things. Yeah. So at that stage, it was, as I said, I think it was more 80% engineering and 20% design. Even though, of course, as a designer, you are imposing yourself to do the most beautiful thing that you can. And then if you take, on the other hand, the Marc-Philippe Gambara Marcian, it was 80% about design. The car had to look stunning, and that was the main function of the car. And then 20% engineering, because of course you start with a sketch, but then you have interaction with the engineers, and then engineers are bringing you usually bad news. We cannot position the exhaust here; they are too high, so we have to bring them down, and then suddenly it completely challenges the proportions that you have set up for the perfect rear. And so you have to lower everything, and you have to rebalance all the proportions. And that's what I really like about the process, is finding solution on how to keep the essence of the original sketch with all the challenges that you are facing along the way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, at the end, like what you said, right, car design is all about functionality, and you have to like have that correct sort of a balance going on. Do you think that because you've stayed in like so many different parts of the world and you've experienced different cultures, has that sort of like, transformed the way you think or the way you look at design today?
It has definitely had an impact, especially Japan, because this is where I started my career, and I didn't know anything about car design, even though I thought I knew something, but I didn't really know anything. Yeah. And my management was kind enough to really take the time and explain me what a theme was, for example. As I always use this example because it really, for me, it really was the key. Yeah. When I joined the company, I remember putting my sketch on the wall, and then the management was telling me, but Alan, there is no theme in what you design. It's only style, and it's only features and lines, but there is no real message, or there is no theme. And they keep telling me there is no theme, and I was like, what is a theme? What is a theme? And so they came with this 3-pager. Yeah. Very, very kind. They had this kind of Toyota philosophy of how to design, and you start with geometrical shape that you intersect, you play with the volumes, but you don't only focus on a front, a side, and a rear, but you focus on one entire object. Okay. And that helped me actually to understand what really is car design and what really is a theme, and how you express an emotion and how you translate something. Yeah. So definitely Japan had a huge impact in my career for that. And as I said, it was a click, it took me so long. I was looking at my design, and I was comparing, and I could not see the difference. And then suddenly I saw it, then I understood it. I put it in place in my process. And now it's almost a second nature. When I sketch, I only think about the theme and how I'm going to play with the volume. So So that for sure, Japan, is a very strong impact.
Yeah.
China, of course, also at its level had a huge impact on me. It was a completely different process.
Correct.
And actually, what happened is that they've given me a lot of trust from the beginning, and they really basically almost let me autonomously express myself. So suddenly I didn't have a huge, like a big management on top of me, telling me that what I do is not good. But actually it was more, okay, we want to see how you see our brand, you know, and I had a lot of freedom. So that was actually the two opposites almost, but they were very, very complementary. Yeah. And then of course after that I moved to California. So there is a massive car culture, which is in Japan also. There is a massive car culture, but it's a very different one. Correct. And I love all kind of cars. I can love a hot rod. I can love a lowrider. I can love a JDM. I love like every type, every family of cars. I find always something interesting. Correct. And I think also I have a variety of let's say fashion in car design. That trends, you know, that I love to take inspiration from. Yeah. When you talk about trends, one of the major trends that are now I can actually see myself is whether it's product design, whether it's experience design or service design or automotive design. We see a lot of this like retro elements coming in the in our designs, and we see like the small glimpses and elements that people have started picking up from retro products. So just the overall experience that they want has become very nostalgic, and like that trend has started to like emerge, and now it's becoming more and more. You can see it, everybody on Instagram is literally like doing that. And I think when I got to know that I am going to be talking to you, I took an opportunity as well to look at your Instagram page and your work. And I also realized that your work it often blends with nostalgia and futurism, like the Turbo 03 that you did. So how do you know when to reference past versus pushing something very radical? First of all, of course, I always love to get inspired by the past. I think there is a reason why everybody, as you say, you use the term nostalgia. I think it's really that. It's really we have a nostalgia of the past, and there is a reason for that. I think where we are at the moment in the car industry is, I think we have to look a bit back. Some people say we should never look in the past, we should look forward. Yeah. But actually sometimes it's good to step down and look a bit at where we are at and what has been done in the past, and if we are going in the right direction. Yeah. But yeah, so for my work, that's actually I think my signature touch. Why people like my work is because I kind of live in the past, if you will. That's what I love. I love picking something that had a very strong impact on me and see how I can reinterpret it and almost offer it a second chance, even though the thing was already perfect, but a second life. Yeah. Like imagine, okay, with the technology that we have today, how would this car look like? And also with the new proportions that we have because of all the regulations, the cars are getting bigger and bigger. Correct. How can I extract the essence of this car that was sitting on 14, 15-inch wheels? Correct. How can I translate that on a car that is going to be 0.5 times bigger and with 19, 20 inches wheels? Yeah. Correct. So yeah, that's what I do. I try to extract the theme, the 3 or 4 key features of the car. Yeah. And I play with that. How can I reimagine that? How can I have my own interpretation of that? Yeah.
I think the connection of nostalgia that we humans have in terms of just the relatability to the car, I think that sense of like familiarity and comfort that comes, I think that I also feel is like the selling point, where it's always nice to have something which is very familiar, so that, even if you're sitting in a new car, I think as humans that comfort, the moment it comes, it just makes you feel really nice, and I think that connection sort of like happens very quickly. But don't you think that even though like designers always talk about, and me myself, I'm a user experience designer, and even when I look at cars, I look at it from perspective. I generally don't look at it from a perspective of how cool the car is looking. I mean, yeah, that is definitely there because it's visually stunning. But then for me, the whole emotional connect to the car is extremely important. I need to, as a customer, if I'm sitting in a car, I need to have some sort of an emotional connect to it, whether it's just about how the car is making me feel in terms of comfort or in terms of luxury. So I think that little bit of emotional connect is something that we look for, at least, if I just talk about myself. But when you're entering but now I feel we're also entering in an era where car design is becoming very constrained to, regulations, or like you said, like the new regulations that are coming. So we are sort of like putting our designs into a box. So, do you think it's sort of like hampering the designer's mindset of like designing cars? Is it like constraining us to be more innovative?
No, I don't think the problem are the regulations or like pedestrian safety things that everybody says are aerodynamic, or I think the biggest problem the industry is facing, or the car design world is facing, is that there are, as we say, too many cooks in the kitchen. We have in the car industry, if you go to a brand, you have layers after layers after layers of management.
Correct.
And everybody has his own things to say about how the car looks. And I think that is the thing that has the biggest impact on how the car looks today, how the cars look today.
Yeah.
I think that's the main problem. I think if that there is a reason why we look at the past and we see these cars are so beautiful, like a 250 GTO or a 911 F model, or like any cars of the 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
They are so beautiful and so well done because you had only the right amount of people involved, and they all had a specific task to do.
Correct.
And today it's not about that. Today it's about okay, this is your boss, and your boss, he has a boss, which has another boss, and another boss to please, and everybody has somebody to please, and everybody is working for its own interest at the end of the day. And they are not working all together towards doing the most beautiful object. This is long gone, in my opinion, and that's the main problem, and that's why at some point of my career I decided to leave, because I said, okay, I basically there is no way I will be able to express myself in such a company.
Correct.
And now I see the difference. Now working with much smaller entities, working for resto mod companies or for custom car builders or stuff like that, I see the level of freedom suddenly that I have.
Correct.
And we are able to do cars that meet regulations, and that meet pedestrian safety, and we still manage to make something striking. So
that is actually really cool, because you're trying to because everybody has a very different vision of what a car should be like, and how you perceive a certain brief. Everybody has like very different thought process about it. So, but do you think that in the coming future, or at least for like the young designers like us, right, when we move into an automotive industry, we have certain things in our mind that we want to do something really, really cool, but that sort of gets lost as soon as you start working into like 2 years, 3 years into this industry, you start realizing that, you know, you're losing that spark, you're losing that creativity. So do you think car designers will have more or less creativity in the like creative freedom in the future?
The question that the young generations should ask themselves is, why do you lose your spark? What makes you lose your spark? Is it something you can control or you don't have any control over? And I know the answer personally. You lose your spark because of what I said before.
Correct.
Because suddenly you see the reality. You know, I was naive. Also, I started my career and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to do the most beautiful work, the best job in the world. And I'm going to do the most beautiful cars I can. And suddenly you see the reality and you see the people there and you see what their interest is. And you realize that no, there is no way that you will be able to achieve anything in these circumstances. So that leaves you with two options. Of course, it's not an easy one, the one that I have picked, you know, to go as an independent. But I think also that could be, if more and more people would do that, that would send a strong message to this industry, and that maybe they have to change something, you know, because I'm telling you, after 13 years of experience, there is no need of having a director of design, a director of exterior design, a director of interior design, an exterior chief, a team lead, senior designer, junior designer. It doesn't make any sense. You know, you could divide that by 2 or 3 and you would have enough people. And suddenly remove 10 guys and put one with a clear vision and you will do amazing things. Because this one guy that has a clear vision, he will be able to drive a team and to tell them what to do. One with just designers below. But you don't need an army of management.
Correct.
Because that's how you destroy the process. That's how you destroy process. And that's how you destroy a product.
Fair. There is also, like you said, you know, we need like, let's reduce the number of people that are there in management. But then there is also one of the biggest fears that come, like at least for the people like young designers like me who are just starting in the industry, is the whole aspect of AI coming in the picture. We've seen so many, you know, like trends on Instagram that, you know, people are using AI to create like some amazing visuals, right? So, do you think that with self-driving cars and AI entering the space, do you think car designers might become obsolete, or car designers and design in general is going to become more obsolete, or is it going to evolve?
There is an army of cunts that just wish that car designers would become obsolete because then we can get rid of them, of course. But no, I don't believe. Personally, I'm not using AI, and that's something that I hope and I promising myself every day that I will never use. I believe me, I have often the discussion. Obviously, it's something that I'm looking at. I mean, you can't miss it. It's everywhere on the social medias.
Correct.
And I often talk to friends about AI, and I don't see it with a positive eye, to be honest. Especially with the young generations. We are already facing, unfortunately, a big problem, in my opinion, is that the young generations, because of influencers and YouTube and Instagram, they are being constantly taught that you don't have to work hard, you know, to make it in life. You can just basically put a camera in front of you and you just say a couple of stupid things and suddenly you get famous and you get money for that. But that's a minority of people, and we are sending them the wrong messages. And for me, I see AI as a prosthesis, you know, something that basically you are not good enough at something, so you put that prosthesis and you become almost a superhuman. And that's not a good thing. You know, for me, I had this deep conversation with a friend of mine. I always compare us, the car designer, as athletes.
Okay.
And I was not the best athlete when I started 13 years ago. Far away from that. But I was pushing hard. That's what made the difference.
Yeah.
I was going to work at Daihatsu, Toyota. I was coming back at night and I was crying because I thought I was not good enough. So, so I thought if I don't work hard enough, I will lose my job. Yeah. So I was pushing myself. I was arriving at the office at around 7:30, 7:15, 7:30, and I was leaving at around 8:30, 9. And then I was coming back home, and then from 10 to midnight or 1 a.m. I was sketching. And then I was waking up again and again and again, and every day like that. Yeah. And I was filling up sketchbooks until I got a decent level. Correct. And that taught me not only sketch. That didn't only give me sketching skills, but it gave me consistency. Correct. You know. Yeah. That's what people are missing, and people now, because of this AI tool, they think, okay, I don't know how to sketch, but guess what? It's not a big problem because I can just write something to a robot and he will do it for me. Yeah. But at the end of the day, and why people are doing that? Just because for the sake of getting attention and likes on social media. This is this is a shame. This is a shame for them because they could be so much more creative. They could have so much more satisfaction doing something themselves. And we're gonna create another army of frustrated people that because they know deep inside, they know and they will feel that they are fake, that they are not the real creator of their things. Correct. That's the first problem. Second problem is to be a good car designer, you need to be able to translate what you have sketched into a physical model. Oh, okay. And then people are going to tell me, but don't worry, Alan. In 5 to 10 years, there will be an AI product that will be able to translate the AI image into a 3D object. Okay, good. But then what's that going to do on the long term if we don't do anything is that where are going to be the people with the good eye? I always say the sharp eye, being able to see that volume is not correct, these proportions are not correct. We still have this kind of good people. The amount of these skilled people is decreasing year after year because of these new technologies. Correct. So I feel that if I was a young designer, an aspiring car designer today, I would try to focus on my skills, my own skills, developing my sketching ability, my seeing into 3D, being able to visualize the volume into 3D. Correct. With my own eyes and without using any tools. I will force myself. We are like athletes, you know. As I always say, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he didn't become Mr. Universe because of an AI tool. He had to work hard for that. And it's the same for everything you do in life. You have to work hard. You have to do sacrifices. You have to suffer. Yeah. If you are not suffering and if you get everything easy, the easy way, one day or another, you're going to regret it. That's my view on it. Sorry, it was a bit long, but...
No, I mean, whatever you just said, I agree to it 100% because I myself, I'm not a big fan of AI, and I just feel that being a designer is a lot more than just putting a sketch on the paper or doing a great visual render, because when a designer is doing a sketch, there is so much character in that sketch because that designer is constantly thinking and is thinking what emotions I want to bring out in that sketch. Every single line that you draw has an intent to it, which will get lost as soon as you put it in AI, because AI 100%. Does not have emotions or brain to think, right? So that is what really frustrates me as well. And because I see, because again, there is a huge, whenever I open my LinkedIn as well, there's a huge part of the community, or design community, which actually supports AI, and they're like, okay, AI is
Of course, because they are losers. That's
and
what they are.
and
They
then
are
that really
losers.
matter because like I'm a person, I'm just starting in the industry, and like me, there are, when I speak to my friends or my colleagues who are working with me, they're also in two minds, because you see a part of your community which is supporting this tool, and they're trying to like make use of it, and they're trying to tell you that if you do not upgrade yourself, or if you do not know how to use this tool, you're gonna get like you won't be relevant enough in the industry. But then my point is that why do we want a tool to be relevant? Why that tool is not going to make you relevant if you're good enough, if you're a great designer, and if you can think that way, and if you can sketch that way, and if you can articulate what your brain's telling you, then you really don't need a tool to be relevant in the industry.
That's a message I have for all the young students. I've been told, believe me, all my studies and even my early career, that if I didn't know how to model in alias, I would never become a good designer. I never thought like that. I know that there are many people that disrespect me for that because I don't know how to use alias. Yes, that's a fact. I know how to open alias. I know how to rotate a model. I know how to zoom in and zoom out. But that's mostly all I know how to do. But I do understand the program. I do understand how my modelers are using it. And I have a lot of respect for that. And I think being a modeler, an alias modeler, is actually a skill on its own. So I took the decision very early on to say, if they want me to be a car designer and a modeler, then I will be 50% good at design and 50% good at alias. I want to be 100% good at my craft. I want to be the best in what I do. So I decided to focus on sketching and understanding properly a design in 3D, like to be able to visualize an object in 3D. That's very difficult. That's very challenging. And that's already very hard to do on its own. So I decided to master that. And I never needed in my career to be able to model. I met a lot of very, very skilled physical modeler or digital modeler along the way in my career. And actually that's what they told me. They told me that they have a lot of respect for my decision, because suddenly there is a mutual respect. I'm not coming to them and say, give me the mouse, I will show you what I want. No, there is none of that between us. It's a very high level conversation. I have a lot of respect for my modelers, and they share the same respect for me. And that's how you create, in my opinion, the most beautiful product, because suddenly everybody is at his own place. He knows what to do. And there is no stupid interference in the process.
No, that makes sense. I actually have a question that just popped up in my head right now. That do you think in future, so right now what is happening is that when you are being hired in a company, you are expected with so when you're writing in a resume, we want to put all the skill sets that we know, and from sketching to modeling to video editing to doing animations to everything we want to showcase to the company, or wherever we are applying to, that we know everything. But do you think in future maybe just picking up and mastering that one skill is going to make a difference? Because then you're going to be, because right now I feel, because people are trying to do 100 different things, so nobody is an expert in one single thing, so you often just dilute.
Yes, no, they are expert in bullshit.
So that's exactly what I think, that maybe it's doing or experting in one skill is going to probably be the future of how you're going to be hired. Do you think that is going to be the case, or do you think maybe knowing 100 things and then trying to figure out your way in the industry is going to help you?
I think it all depends at which door you're going to knock. There are car companies that still believe in that ancestral process. But unfortunately, there are more and more car companies that think that the future is about AI, is about all these new tools, and they want to jump hands down directly in it. I think personally that's not that's not what I would seek in a portfolio.
Yeah.
First of all, I would. What I'm like. Let's talk personally. If when I open a portfolio, what do I want to see? I want to see a guy that is curious, or a guy or a girl that is curious, that is creative. But of course, curiosity. That's a famous quote from Gary. He said, "Creativity starts whether you are curious or not," and that's true.
Yeah.
So I want to see that the student is curious, is open-minded, that he has a strong. That's also something. He has a strong car culture.
Correct.
I grew up in the design schools. They were saying actually it's better if you don't know anything about cars because you can make a difference. No, that's bullshit. You have to know about cars. You have to know. I mean, you don't tell me another job that you can do without knowing anything about that job.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Like, I'm a professional swimmer, and tomorrow I'm gonna be an astronaut. No, you cannot. You know, you have to learn one thing or two. You have to look at what the people before you have done to be able to do the same thing. And it goes like that with anything you do. So if you want to be a car designer, you have to know about cars. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people will say, no, that's bullshit. You don't have to know. Of course you have to know. You have to understand its function. You have to understand how it's made. You have to understand how it works. Because then only you're gonna do design. Yeah. And the problem today is that people are not doing design anymore. They are doing styling. They are putting style on a vehicle. Yeah. And that's why it looks so bad. Correct. Because if you look at the cars before, like the old cars, the cars that we love looking at, they had a purpose, they had a function. Correct. And the design was made around that function. Yeah. You know, the design was sought out to fulfill in the best way possible that function. Yeah. So of course, so that's what I look at. And then if I see that, and if I see good skills and or a good base that I can shape, then I'm gonna take that one student. I'm not looking for a guy that can do, for example, if I see shitty sketches and a roughly correct 3D and striking renderings, that guy is not doing the right thing, and it will be very difficult for me to bring him back to where I want him to be. Yeah. I've had a lot of interns and a lot of interns that were not confident enough in their design skills, and they were jumping directly in Blender because they were feeling reassured. They were feeling reassured because suddenly they could see four wheels perfectly in perspective, and then a volume on top of it. Correct. But that's ridiculous. Yeah. You know, again, they are jumping on Blender because they are afraid, because they are not confident. I'm trying, when I have an intern, to build that confidence, you know, to tell him, you can. I always show them my old sketches where I sucked. And I said, that was me. 10 years ago. That was me. Yeah. Look, and if you like what I do, then it shows you that it's possible. I remember showing my first sketchbook to one of my employees. Yeah. And he laughed at me. He said, oh, that's not you. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. That's me, but that's me 10 years ago. Yeah. You know, I was very bad. And to have a sketchbook is actually something very good, because it's something that you don't have to share with anybody. Yeah. Because the problem also that we have in today's society is that we put a lot of importance in what people think about what we do. Yeah. You know, and too much importance in that. So that's why when you have your sketchbook, it's your own, and nobody is going to look into that. It's your privacy. Yeah. And then you can do shitty sketches after shitty sketches. Nobody's going to judge you. Correct. Nobody but yourself. Yeah. You know? And I like this saying that your biggest enemy is yourself, and it can also be your best friend. Correct. Because you are the only person that is going to tell you can do it, and that is going to stay motivated. Nobody's going to do that for you. Yeah. And that's exactly why, again, I'm trying to articulate this. That's exactly why I prefer a portfolio with somebody that is only focusing on one thing and trying to make it as good as he can.
Correct.
Because I know that I will be able to rely to this guy. I know that he will push.
Mm-hmm.
But when I have a guy that is not confident and is jumping in Blender and blah blah blah, how many of these students did I have? And at the end of their internship, they were actually happy because they were more confident and they could sketch something. My last intern, that's exactly what I gave him. And he's grateful for that, because now he has more confidence into his sketching ability. And when he had his diploma, a friend of mine was actually part of the jury, and he told me it was one of the only students that had doodles, and that was still sketching. And this, I think, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as you said, that's exactly what car companies are looking at.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I can't really give advice to the young guys because I'm not in this industry anymore. I'm not in this OEM way of thinking anymore. I see more myself as the artisan. The artisan doing his own thing on his side, and then you have the big industrial things that I always compare. Okay, you have the industrial food, you have McDonald's, and then you have the chefs. I prefer to be a chef today. I prefer to master my craft, to master my skills.
Yeah.
I feel I'm first of all I'm more fulfilled, and I feel more important. More. I feel that I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Because also another thing they have to know, these guys, they will join a car company. And 85, 90% of what they're going to produce during a year is going to end up in the bin. And that's also another reason why there is so much frustration in the car industry. Because we overproduce.
Yeah.
Like, back in my days, which is not so far ago, it's like 10 years, we had 3 proposals per designer.
Yeah.
Now you have to have 10. Then suddenly you have a wall that is filled with ideations, and guess what? The management still can't pick one because he hasn't seen the one, because he has no vision.
Yeah,
he has no vision. He doesn't know what he wants.
Yeah, that's true.
I will know it when I see it.
Yeah, no,
that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I think a long time back when I had just started my design college, and one of my trainers had said this, and that sort of just stuck with me, was that so he told us to do 100 sketches. So we were doing a product design project, and we had to do 100 sketches of that product that we are envisioning. And as a person who's just joined the design college, was very intimidating to do 100 sketches. And then all of us, my entire batch, was really worried because we were kids who were trying to figure out how are we going to do 100 sketches. And then he came in the class and he started doodling, and he's within 2 minutes, I can do 100 sketches. You don't have to think. You just have to make sure your hand's moving and you're constantly sketching. And out of those 100, you pick up probably 3 of them, and then you're going to start sketching again. And then you're going to make 100 sketches more. And then you're going to keep evolving. And then when you show me your final 3 proposals, you will understand how that has evolved over time. And that just made so much sense, because he actually demonstrated how he started with 100 doodles, and out of those 100 he kept sketching, and after about half an hour, 45 minutes, the 3 sketches he brought in front of us, they had so much character, and you could see how they have evolved over those that half an hour. And that just blew my mind.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not, it's not really my style to do 100 different things, and also to tell you don't have to think. My approach is that you should always actually think. You should always think, but you cannot just, and again, maybe it's just me. Maybe it works with somebody else.
Yeah.
But my opinion is, you should always be 100% at what you do. You should always be thinking what is the function of what I'm designing?
Yeah.
What should it fulfill?
Yeah.
As much information as you can, because otherwise you don't know where you go. And you can easily get lost. So for me, if a client, for example, is telling me, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
No. Then I don't feel then I'm very insecure, because it means that this guy doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't have a clear vision. Or I have to come up with the vision. Right. But I will never start something without knowing anything, because then the range is so wide. How do you know what to do? You know?
Yeah.
You have to put boundaries. Yeah. Not like hyper strict boundaries. Yeah. But you need to define, okay, what is it that I'm gonna do? Correct. What is it that I'm gonna sketch? And that's why during my free time I was giving myself, okay, today I'm gonna reimagine that car. Because suddenly I know my task and I know precisely my task. And it doesn't mean that I cannot do 100 or 200 different versions of that car. Correct. But I know what to do, and I know that when I'm going to sketch it, I know what it's going to look like. So, but what I appreciate about what your teacher said, it's the as a young designer, you have to impose them quantity. Yeah. And a specific quantity. Yeah. Because then you know that they're gonna do it. Yeah. And for me, when I was at YED Torino, one of my teacher, Simon Grant, to give him credit, he was telling us you have to come back with 100 A3 with lines. It was 1 week it was perfect straight lines. Yeah. The other week it was circles. Like 100 A3 filled like that, and then 100 sketches like cars. And then he was counting for every student. But that was good. That was good, because there was no shortcuts, or there was no, we could not lie, or we could not, we could not escape. Correct. So and that's already creating a selection of, okay, who are the most motivated, who are the most committed, correct, who are the most consistent. Yeah. So that's something that we are lacking more and more because of these new AI tools. Yeah. No, I agree. I can't tell you how much I hate it. I stay completely silent on the social media, because as soon as you open your mouth, somebody smarter than you has something to say. Yeah. I don't want to enter into all these debates. Correct. But I know one thing for sure, is that these guys that are using AI, they are fucking losers. They are losers that need shortcuts to feel that they exist, because they are getting likes on Instagram. Okay, good for you. But when you look at yourself, when you are alone with yourself, and you look at yourself in the mirror, how do you feel? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel good about yourself? Yeah. No, you can't feel good about yourself, because we are human beings, and we feel good when we feel that we have achieved something. Then suddenly we are proud of ourselves. Yeah. And that's the dramatic. It's going to be dramatic. That's going to be the dramatic things about AI. Yeah. No. People are going to pretend, look at me, I have 50,000 followers on Instagram. Yeah, but you are not producing anything valuable. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think the social media as well has definitely taken an astray on all of us, because when I was just starting college, I remember it was my second year or third year into design, and I'm sitting there looking at all of these cool looking Instagram pages where people are posting amazing renders and visuals, and I'm there, and it was so intimidating, because when you're starting young, you do not have that kind of skill set, but all you have is the vision that you want to do something which is cool. But you're still learning how to, put that vision out on in a beautiful render or a visual, or you're still learning. And when you see people do those amazing things, it's just extremely intimidating. And then there is a race, because then everybody is like, oh, this designer has so many likes on Instagram and we should follow. So it's almost become like celebrities, design celebrities, I call them design celebrities, because they're just doing it for Instagram. They're not doing it to actually produce anything of substance. And that really
pisses me off sometimes, because I am like, okay, but I do not idolize you. Even if you're a great designer, there is nothing that I can look forward to, like when I look at your page, because yeah, everything looks great, but that's all I have to tell, about the work that you have. There is absolutely no story or emotions or intent that I can see in the sketches, and that is extremely sad.
Exactly, because it's not them. But you said something very important that has to be mentioned. And it's absolutely normal that as young aspiring designers, you look at, it's almost like as if you would look at the peak of Everest. It seems unobtainable, unachievable. Like it's almost impossible to get there. But I'm here. My job as a teacher, I used to have, because now actually unfortunately I can't. But when I go to schools, it's to tell the kids it takes time. You will not gonna be the best designer tomorrow. Can you be the best designer? Definitely. Definitely you can. But it's not gonna happen between today and tomorrow. It's gonna be a fucking hard journey. But actually, when you're gonna look back, when you're gonna get there and you're gonna look back, you will realize that journey was good. That journey actually, because now I'm somebody else. I've managed to I've managed to define myself as a human being, not only as a car designer, but as a human being. I know that I have overcome challenges, and I have become a better version of myself, and that's so fulfilling. I cannot describe you that feeling when you achieve something, the level of pride that you can have when you look at the finished product and you say, "That's me." I've done that. When I look at myself 12 years ago, if you would have told me that I would design a winning car for Pikes Peak, or I would design a car for Marc-Philippe Gambala, the son of Uwe Gambala, or I would do this project or that project, I would have never believed you. Because I didn't have confidence in myself. And it's normal as young designers. And I hate when I see a car designer coming to school and bragging, and he wants to put this kind of almost, a bulletproof barrier between himself and the students.
Correct.
He wants them to look at him as if he's special. No, I'm keeping telling the students there's nothing special about me. The only thing special about me, if there is one, is that I'm trying to work harder than the guy next to me.
Correct.
That's what makes the difference. And it's very important. But of course, it's very natural for kids to want to take shortcuts, especially in today's society, where influencers and Instagram, social medias, they are teaching you that things should happen fast, that you should be the best tomorrow.
Correct.
Again, we are like athletes. And athletes, they work very hard to be world champion.
Correct.
That's what I told my son is 6 years old. And I'm telling him things that I would love, I would have loved to hear when I was a kid. I ask him, what do you like at the sport? And he tells me tennis. I tell him, do you want to be world champion? And then he starts laughing. He's only 6 years old. And he starts laughing. And I said, why do you laugh? If that's what you want, you can do it. I'm teaching him that if he wants to be world champion, he can achieve it. But he will have to put the work. He will have to commit. And it will be a hard journey. He will cry. It will be hard. He will want to give up. But if he keeps doing it, one day he will get there.
I'm gonna remember this whole athlete symbolism that you gave, because I think that's somewhat like comforts me so much, because nobody has put it that way, honestly, like being a designer, nobody has really put it that way in front of me as well, that you just have to like be persistent in what you're doing. Just keep doing, and then one day you will achieve the goal that you're.
Build confidence.
Yeah,
Build confidence.
and that
Don't.
people need to hear more, and it has to like come especially from like industry experts and like great designers like you who have so much experience, and they have achieved so much, that it has to come from you guys. And I feel like that somewhere also people don't get to listen it that often. So this entire thing is really nice, and it sort of like tells you that yeah, I agree, AI is gonna make everybody's life easier, but just making life easier is not going to take you anywhere.
Exactly. And I mean, it's very important, to be confident. Of course, you don't want to be overly confident. You don't want to become full of yourself.
Yeah.
But it's very important to be confident, and it's something that we are lacking more and more. Suddenly, if you are confident, people see you. This guy is full of himself. No. For me, am I proud about what I have achieved so far? Hell yes.
Yeah.
I am. Do I think I'm full of myself? No, I don't think so, because it's also important about the message that you are sending. I'm not trying to. I don't want people to see me as somebody that they can never become. I'm actually inviting them. I'm telling them that it's possible.
Yeah.
But to be able to achieve that, they will have to work very hard.
Yeah.
And there is no shortcut about that.
Yeah, true. So we've been talking so much about the kind of constraints that we have now, whether it's AI or engineering or just sheer mindset that people have, right? If regulations were not a limitation for you, what is that one radical concept that you would love to bring to life?
There is not only one. That's actually a tough question. And actually, even if I had one, I don't think I would tell you, because I want to keep my ideas for myself. No, I would. Okay, one thing that I would love, I can be more generic in my answer. But one thing that I would love is to be able to go back to tiny cars. I cannot tell you, for me, the love that I have when I see a Fiat 500 original one, for example, or an Isetta, or even just comparing a 911 F model with a 992.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy to see how big these cars have become.
Yeah.
We were driving yesterday, and we saw a G model Targa, a 911.
Yeah.
So we were on the highway, so there were four rows, and I was at the third one.
Yeah.
An M4 just passed us, BMW. And then we passed the G model, and wow, like the difference in size was...
Yeah.
The M4 was suddenly humongous.
Yeah.
And that 911 was so tiny, even though it's actually quite a big car if you would see it only on its own.
Yeah.
So I would love, something that I would love is that we would go back. I know it's difficult because of safety regulations and so on, and technologies and stuff. But I would love to go back to tiny cars. Again, if you get inside the Twingo, the first one, we were talking about the Twingo a few days ago. It's crazy how huge this car is.
Yeah.
It's a tiny monovolume, and you have so much space inside, and the car is so tiny on the outside. Yeah. That's what I like. I keep saying that even though I'm a Porsche guy, sorry, but the 992 for me, it's not possible. The car is too big. It's just too big.
Yeah.
A 991 next to it, it's already more thin. For me, this is the 991.2 is the most beautiful modern 911 in my opinion. And that was enough, Then we go even bigger. The wheels are 1 inch bigger, and everything is much bigger.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. And actually, we are getting so big that now 23-inch wheels on an SUV, they look tiny.
Tiny, yeah. Yeah, that's
It's
what.
crazy, but that's because of it's not only because of regulations, it's also because of designers, how they
Yeah,
put their volumes on wheels.
yeah.
Now, okay, the bigger the better. No, that's not true. I remember when I was a kid, my parents bought a new Volvo, and they showed up in the evening, and they had the new 17-inch wheels, and we were like, with my brothers, we were turning around the car. Oh my God, they got the 17-inch wheels. They are so big, and now it's like super small. You
Yeah,
don't even have 17-inch probably as a starting size.
yeah. But yeah, and I think it's just taking up space more and more and more and more, and then we really need to like start thinking about other things as well. Like, uh, I think the next big thing that I'm hearing a lot since we spoke about like a lot of trends as well, right? That sustainability is definitely a big buzzword now. If you look at all the big companies, if you look at major automobile brands that we all know about, they all are moving into sustainability. So, do you feel it's genuinely influencing the car design, or it's still mostly a marketing term that we are looking at?
It's definitely marketing, because I mean, if we want to be sustainable, we don't necessarily have to completely reinvent the wheel. I mean, we can start producing the body with I don't know. It's again just an example,
Yeah,
but maybe natural fibers or recycled plastics,
correct.
and that won't have a massive influence on
Yeah,
the way
we
car
design.
look.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So no, I think it's obviously mostly a marketing thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't have any effect on the way I think and the way I'm going to design
Hmm. So, do you think that
cars.
passionate and emotional design can coexist with sustainable design, or
Definitely,
are we just trying to like pull like these two things away from each other? Because I've heard a lot of people talk about how oh, this product is sustainable, and we couldn't design much because we wanted to keep the sustainability aspect, because there are so many things that we need to think about. And then I see a lot of students who come and talk about how they felt so like restricted because the brief was to make something very sustainable. So, do you think that sustainability and passionate design can go hand in hand?
definitely. Again, it's when you really want something, when you really want to achieve something, you will find, because of your curiosity, you will find solutions, and you will be able to come up with actually amazing. You will have fun in the process, and you will actually being able to find good solutions
Yeah,
that are both sustainable and good looking. For
yeah,
me, sustainability cannot be a limitation in what I want to do. But of course, then I will have to explore. I will have to, I don't know, look at YouTube videos
yeah,
to find what is about sustainability. How can I come up with something sustainable? I will have to learn. I will have to educate myself. I will have to challenge myself. I
yeah,
will have to talk to the right people.
yeah.
But that's the thing that we don't have again anymore in this industry. We are not. Everybody is working in his own corner.
Yeah.
When I was working in OEMs, very rarely we had meetings with engineers. For me, that's the key.
Yeah.
As when you are about to start a new product, designers, engineers, people like that, they should sit in the same room and they should discuss, because then there would be like a very good exchange. But they don't want that. No, they don't want that. They don't want to mix everything. But we don't have time for this. Because the management is one thing. The management is lazy. The management is getting a lot of money, and they don't want to work so much. So they are not going to come up with a meeting. 1 hour meeting, I could be thinking about what I'm going to put in the bottom of my swimming pool. Why should I go to a meeting for 1 hour? I could stay in my office and pretend that I'm working.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you really want to do something and change something, for example, I remember I visited Lucid a couple of years ago. Derek Jenkins, very, very nice guy. He wanted me to work for Lucid. Yeah. And I remember how they were making a difference because the engineers were communicating with the designers, and you could feel that in the final product. The Lucid Air for me is a striking car, and there is a good reason to that. It has also amazingly creative ideas and solutions, because you can feel it. You can feel it because the engineers and designers suddenly they've been talking to each other, and that's how you come up with good new solutions.
Correct. Yeah.
When I started the Radford car, I told them I did an engineering school, and I wanted like, for example, I wanted the gooseneck wings, and Alan, it's not possible. There was suddenly this relationship between engineers and designers that I had in the OEM world. And I said, guys, I'm not pretending to be an engineer, but I'm confident that we can put the goosenecks right there.
Yeah.
And we should explore it. And then at the second meeting, suddenly we had explored it, and it was feasible.
Yeah.
And said, maybe I don't know if it's the case, but maybe I gained respect.
Yeah.
And we never had this conversation again. Suddenly it was about, okay, I understand your needs. Please understand my needs, and together we're going to do a striking product.
Correct.
I would love to have this kind of conversation and communication in the OEMs, because I think the cars would look 10 times better, if not 100 times.
Yeah. So do you think is there a historic car that was way ahead of its time when it comes to sustainability and design? Do you think that car like that exists?
Wow. Okay. I was not expecting a question like that, but I'm pretty sure there is. I mean, there've been so many cars. Let me think. I think the new Beetle, of course. It's the most produced vehicle on Earth. Very easy to produce, very cheap to produce, very accessible for the people.
Yeah. Very
clever. The Ford Model T, the first car. I remember a story about a car. I don't know if it's the Ford Model T or if it was another car, but from the US, where actually they would get parts delivered in wood boxes, and not to lose anything, they would disassemble the wood boxes, and they would use these wood boxes for the seat structures. Oh. And you see, that's sustainability. That's very clever. Instead of throwing it away, suddenly you use it to finish the production of your product. Yeah. Small ideas like this.
Yeah,
but very sustainable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No,
so I can't think of a specific car or concept car, but there are ways, and I'm sure in the past, if we would be actually pretty surprised about things that we never thought of as human beings, but actually our ancestors, they have thought about it, and they have put it in place and put it in production, and we just forgot about it.
Yeah. No,
that's why it's important, to have knowledge about cars and to dig in the history, to know what has been done and what can be extracted from what has been done and reinvent it.
No, definitely. I also think one of the other big trends, sustainability is definitely one, and if we deep dive into sustainability and sustainable design, autonomous driving is again one of the other big trend that we are seeing in the automotive industry that is coming. That autonomous driving is something that people are slowly inclining towards, I would say. So how do you see interiors changing in terms of design and emotional value when we talk about autonomous design?
It's a very tough question for me, because again, I'm more of as you might have realized by now, I'm more a conservative person. Yeah. And of course, when you talk to me about autonomous driving, it's something I'm not very. I don't really appreciate. I'm not very keen on, exactly. Unfortunately, of course, it's going to have an impact on the interior, because again, our society is all about entertainment, and we are full on about screens. Let's put screens everywhere. When the trend started, I thought, okay, it's going to be a trend, you know, as the tablet was a trend for like 10 years ago. It was something big, and now nobody has a tablet anymore at home, or at least we don't have, but we wanted to have one, and we had one 10 years ago, and now it's vanished. I thought the same thing would happen to cars, but I was quite wrong on this one, because the screens are getting even bigger and bigger. I've seen this week it was the Shanghai Motor Show, and I've seen a show car at the end, like behind the front seats. There was an entire screen for the people to watch, like a television.
Yeah.
I think personally this is ridiculous. That's not. I mean, again, maybe I'm too old, or I think too old. But I'm driving an Audi sedan. Advance, so estate.
Yeah.
And my son, I told him that we would never have I mean, he didn't even ask, but there is no screen on the back. There is no screen on the headrest. He doesn't have a tablet. He doesn't have, and he's very happy. And we drive 10 hours.
Yeah.
But he's gonna look outside the window. He's gonna be interested. He's gonna be curious. He's gonna have to find. It's gonna be about him only. Yeah. He will have to find solution not to be bored.
Yeah.
And he's able to do that for 10 hours, and he's 6 years old. Yeah. And we, as adults, we are not able to drive 10 minutes without even looking at the screen. Yeah. This is ridiculous again.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm so passionate about cars and I drive a lot. Like last week, I drove 2,200 kilometers in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
That's how much I love driving. And we didn't have a screen, you know. But what did we do? We talked to each other. We talked about the past. And we looked outside, and we saw a beautiful bridge, and we saw a beautiful old village, and we saw amazing things. People are not looking outside anymore.
Yeah.
They want to look at screens.
Yeah.
So of course, if we let it, of course, autonomous driving will have a huge impact on the way an interior look, and not for a positive thing, in my opinion. I love old cars because, again, they are built for the purpose of the journey, you know, and the journey only, the journey between people. So we are able to talk, we are able to exchange, we are able to look through the window outside.
Yeah.
That's what I love. I love feeling connected to the vehicle. Yeah. And I love also feeling connected with the people on board.
Yeah.
I would just hate it if my son, my son is 6 again. If I put a screen tomorrow on the headrest, he will be freaking happy about it. But he will lose something very important. He will lose connection with us.
Yeah.
You know, he will be suddenly in his own world.
Correct.
He won't see anything outside. He will just focus on the screen.
Yeah.
He will fuck up his eyes. He will fuck up his brain.
Yeah.
So what do I gain? Silence? Yeah, good, but...
Do we really want that?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm a bit conservative in my answers, but... I think it's good to hear something different at once.
Yeah, no, I actually really agree with the thought process that you have, because I am fairly just starting my journey in design in the industry, and I have very conservative thoughts as well when it comes to like certain things. And even I'm 26 years old, and there are a lot of conversations around me, especially with the kind of culture I come from, that, you know, you will have a family one day. And then we always do have conversations about where the future is going and how do we want our kids to look at, you know, certain things or interact with certain products. And I, on the other hand, I'm a person, I'm like, I don't want my kids to be exposed to screens, or I do not want them to be around screens all the time. I find that very jarring, and I find that unfortunate for people who do not enjoy to just sit down and look around yourself. And I feel a lot of people are losing that human connection so much, and that just makes me really sad. And I'm the one who's always odd one out, and I'm the one who's always been looked at and judged for the thought process that I have. So I'm so happy to see like, I'm so happy to be talking to someone who actually comes from a very similar mindset that, these things are probably not the best way that in the future that we're looking at for the design. And that makes me really happy. So definitely on board with you on that one. But since we're talking about future and since we're talking about the trends that we see on internet, do you see the boundaries between automotive design, architecture, and product design blurring in coming years? Because now, like, I remember you also said that how you look at, after you went to Japan, you started looking at car as a whole product, right? So do you think in future maybe all of this is going to start to like cross boundaries with each other? Do you think that is going to happen?
I think so, yeah. Of course, I mean, it's very important. As I said, it's important to have knowledge about the car history, but it's also important, and that I always tell the young students and aspiring designers, that it's important to seek creativity everywhere, and it's important to get inspired by architecture. I think us car designers, we get inspired a lot by car design, by architecture, by product design. I mean, as soon as there is a beautiful object, an object that is really translating or communicating an emotion.
Yeah.
I think as a car designer or as a designer in general, it's important to stop.
Yeah.
And to have these extra thoughts that a simple viewer is not going to have. A simple viewer is going to be, he's going to suddenly have an emotion.
Yeah.
But he won't be able to really like disassemble it and study it. And it's not that he won't be able, but he won't have this natural way of asking himself, what is it that, why suddenly I had this strong emotion? Why? And I think it's our job as designers to understand that and to really take that emotion and understand what is it in this product that really made me feel it that way.
That way.
And if you are able to do that, then you will be able to use it for your next project.
Yeah.
Right? There is also another thing that I say. Okay, I say that designers are athletes, but I like to make a parallel with a chef, a cook. I love food, and of course, all the countries where I've traveled, I've experienced different food.
Yeah.
And something that a conclusion that I came up with is, you can give 10 ingredients to 10 different chefs around the world, and with the same exact ingredients, they will cook 10 completely different dishes. Because one thing is the ingredients, but one thing also is the doses, how you compose with it,
Yeah.
And I love to make this parallel. The ideas, I think all of the ideas for car design has been done already.
Yeah.
But what makes the difference is how you take these ideas and how you compose with it, how you make it yourself, how you add your secret ingredients.
Got it.
No. That's how you can create a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and that's okay. I'm very convinced about that you can. It's very important to open your eyes and to look at everything around you and to see, okay, why did I buy this product? What was what did it give me? The emotion that it has given me.
Yeah.
Why and how can I extract this and put it in the car that I'm sketching, or
correct.
The product that I'm imagining.
Yeah.
So of course, I think they are already, actually, to answer your question, I think they are already
blurring. Yeah.
Blending. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. But since we're talking about the future of car design and where the industry is headed, do you believe that future of cars maybe lie in personalization or having a sense of individuality when it comes to a car, or just the standardization of like being efficient? Like, where do you think the future is going to be? Because there's definitely a lot of talks about giving that personalized experience to the users. Even though, you know, like we produce cars on a larger scale and if we produce it for the mass, but there's maybe just like a certain touch points in the car that can, you know, make you feel, oh, this is mine. Because I also feel that the younger generation do not have that kind of ownership mindset that probably, you know, my dad's generation had. Like, I've seen them really taking care of the car and, you know, and keep it for like years to come, and they're really like emotionally connected to the car. Whereas when I see people of my generation or even younger to me, right, they do not have that. They do not have that kind of emotional connect to the cars. So
because they have an emotional connection to something else. But personalization is key in everything. That if you look around you, everybody wants to put his touch on everything.
Yeah.
I when you were talking, I don't know why, but I thought about two things. Cars. If I associate young generations with cars, I associate them, maybe, I don't know if you have this product in India. You live in India, right? You are in India.
Yes.
The Citroën Ami. Do you have the Citroën Ami?
No, I don't think so. We don't.
Okay, it's a small. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Okay, everybody in France is driving a Citroën Ami. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of kids.
A lot of
kids. You can drive it when you are 16 years old.
Huh.
And the first thing they do, if they own it, what do? They personalize it.
Yeah.
And you were talking about your father that had a car, and it was he had a connection to it, and it's just that the other parallel I made was with video games. You know, the big Fortnite things. Like every kids, they meet on Fortnite and they play in Fortnite.
Yeah.
It's just that today they have unfortunately, I think, because I'm thinking like an old guy, but they have emotional connections to other things.
Yeah.
At the time of your father, like they didn't have screens, or they barely had screens. They didn't have a phone on themselves. So to socialize, and we had fewer options.
Yeah.
And one of them was cars. And so you were buying a car because you wanted to associate to a certain group of people. Yeah. And then you would, because you fell in love with the car, so you wanted to take care of it and to personalize it and to make it your own with little details, like a set of wheels or a steering wheel or some seats or blah, blah, blah. It's exactly the same. It didn't change. Like, the human beings didn't change. It's just that now they have new things to socialize. Fortnite is one, and the first thing they do in Fortnite, they go to ask their parents, can you give me a credit card because I would like to buy that
food that I want,
that guy, and I would like to buy him these clothes, and I would, and they spend a fortune.
Yeah.
And why? Because they want to make it their own. They want to be part of the group.
Yeah.
And they want to be seen as the cool guy because, I have this outfit. I know, because I have 4 nephews and they are big gamers. And they tell me, look, I will show you in Fortnite. I just got the Iron Man character and I put his suit blue and okay, good. Yeah, it's not very, I'm not very excited as you are, but why not, So, of course, personalization will always be a big thing because human beings, they love to
make their own.
To be seen. Yeah, and to be seen, it's very important to be seen as the unique person, the unique character, So it will always be there.
Yeah.
But maybe not in cars, but in something else.
Correct. Yeah. So if, let's say, tomorrow, private or the ownership fades away, the private car ownership fades away, if it's a hypothetical situation. If that happens, how would you design cars for shared mobility?
I think first of all I would ask the use cases. Is it for long journey or short journeys? Is it for sharing or is it personal use? I mean, you said sharing, but when I say sharing, I say are you taking it on your own?
Yeah.
Or are you renting it with friends?
Correct. Got it.
And then I would have fun towards that. I would okay, if it's a short journey, if it's a city car, I would try to make it a pod. If you are familiar with my Instagram and my Behance, you've seen these little pods that I made.
I have.
I would try to imagine that, kind of a pet, almost like your best friend, and you arrive and this thing is looking at you and rent me, kind of. I would make them friendly as possible and as playful as possible. And again, very smartly thought inside, so that you have basically everything is very easily accessible, because don't forget that you are renting a car.
Yeah.
So it can be easily an object that you never had any interaction with before.
Yeah.
So you have to know it perfectly, as if it was yours. As soon as you get in, everything should fall in place easily. Something that I hate when I buy a new car is like, okay, where is the fuel cap button? Okay, and sometimes you can waste fucking like 10 minutes.
Correct. Yeah.
So I would.
Yeah.
I would try to make it as easy as possible, like something super straightforward and with a strong character on the outside, because then when you see it in the cities,
that remembrance would be there. Correct.
Yeah, and also it's for example in Paris we have this. I hate Paris. I don't go often to Paris. I don't like big cities, but we have these cars for rent, the blue cars designed by Pininfarina. This thing looks so boring and so awful.
The tiny ones are like quite tiny.
Yeah.
I've seen them. Yeah.
And it looks so awful, and it's not inviting people. And when it drives in the city, you have these beautiful architectural buildings in Paris, and then you see this car is gray, it's very sad, and I would make them. I know there is budget restrictions and so on. I mean, I know all that, but I think nowadays again we have solution. We can wrap them. We can make some beautiful shiny body, and we can make them more appealing and more like blending
in the environment that we have. Yeah, no, makes sense.
Creative. That's what I would try to do.
We have spoken a lot about a lot of controversial opinions about how certain people, a bigger chunk in the industry believes in certain things, whether it's AI or whether it's autonomous driving. But if you could give one controversial opinion about car design that would shock people, what would it be?
I think I've given already quite a lot. I would have been fired for everything I've said already. So, that's gonna be the one. It's gonna be the power abuse that actually you cannot speak up. If you speak, somebody is gonna get you fired. And so designers, they evolve in fear of speaking out. They have a lot of emotions. I mean, we as creative, we are emotional people. We have a lot of emotions. And I can't tell you how many of my friends that I started my career with, they are frustrated, they are depressed, they hate their fucking job. It should be the best job in the world. We've picked it. And I hate seeing my friends and ex-colleagues finding suddenly their happiness in basketball games or football games, because at work it's a fucking nightmare. So what I would do again if I had unlimited power, I would get rid of all these political people in car companies, and I would give the spot to a passionate person that is gonna work not towards his personal interests,
Yeah.
but to making the most beautiful cars in the world, because that's exactly why we've picked that job, and that's exactly why we want to make that job. It's because we love, I mean, we should, at least, because we love cars, and because we want to make at our level, make the world a better place with beautiful cars. That's what we want to do. It sounds cheesy, but it's the reality. And because of a minority of people that have a complex, a personal complex, they should get treated, and they should deal with, instead of doing that on their own. No. Look, I'm frustrated. I'm a sad person. I will make the life of this guy a complete nightmare. Why? Because I have the power to do it.
Yeah.
I would get rid of all these guys that are pointless, and I would just hire the people that are passionate, and together we would make car design great again.
Yes.
I should have put a red cap.
Yes, I think I think that would be a dream for all of us, and that's the like the ideal world to live in, I guess. But we've spoken a lot about, like, design and industry and everything, but I'm sure a lot of people would want to know about your process on, like, if you can just walk me through your design process from the first sketch to the prototype. How does it look like?
It depends on the type of cars I'm working on. If it's a resto mod, it's a bit of a different process than from the ground up car. But I always start with my sketchbook.
Wow.
I still sketch a lot, as you can see.
Yeah.
And it's very important even for me to sketch,
That's a lot of sketches.
And it's very important for me to do that, because first of all, it brings me happiness, and it shows me that I can, even though I'm an old fuck, I can still sketch. And also it allows me to empty my head in 2D on paper first. So I will basically, again, because it's my little secret garden, if you will, it will allow me to throw things that I'm not planning to show anybody else but myself. So I will first empty my head on paper, and then I will look at all of that, and then I will select a few. I will refine them in the sketchbook or in another piece of paper.
Yeah.
And once I have that, because I'm lazy, I'm becoming more and more lazy with age, I will go online.
Yeah.
I will pick a car that has roughly the same proportions as the one my clients want, and I will use it as a base, not for the design, but just for the perspective, so that I will have perfect wheels in place. It's a bit like Blender, what I was telling you earlier, that people feel reassured.
Yeah.
I will just do the same method, but just in 2D. I will take a photo, I'll put a white layer on top, and on Photoshop I will just reduce a couple of % the opacity of my white layer, so that I just see the wheels and the overall proportions. And then I'm gonna keep my sketchbook open, and I'm gonna sketch my car in Photoshop with the ideas that with the theme and everything that I've had in my sketchbook. And then I will, like, as you see on my Behance, and these are not press sketches necessarily. That's the way I work. I love to present my client a finished, something that looks finished, something that looks realistic, that he doesn't have to, I can imagine. No, you don't have to imagine anything. Like,
This is how it looks like. Yeah.
This is the car. This is what it's gonna look like. If you like it, we go for that. You're gonna have that.
Yeah.
And actually, I can see that now that I stepped out of the industry, and I work with clients that are not designers, but they are just passionate about cars. That's the right process, because that's what they want to see. Because I'm not making bad promises.
Correct.
They know that what they see on the screen is their car.
It's exactly what they're gonna get. Yeah.
And if they like it, it's gonna be just that. Of course, then when they select the sketch, I'm not saying it's like super straightforward. Of course, when they select the sketch and they tell me this is what I want, so you better do it. So you better make it look like that.
Yeah.
I'm still facing a lot of challenges because there are things that I thought could work in 3D, and then we rotate the car. It's there, it's in place, it looks good in that view, specifically the view of the sketch.
Yeah.
But then when you rotate it, it doesn't look as that good, and then you have to again find solutions to make it look good. But that's my process: 2D hand sketches, 2D Photoshop.
Yeah.
Then I will do a kind of blueprint. I will do usually I do 5 different views. I do a 3/4 front, a 3/4 rear, a side view, a dead front, and a dead rear. And I will do 2 to 3 proposals like that for my clients, and then they can pick among these 3. And then after that, I have enough material to give to a modeler. He's gonna build. It's gonna build a base in Alias, and once he's, let's say, stuck, that he's been, once that he's went through, basically that he think that what he's built is as far as he can get.
Yeah.
He will send me orthographic views, dead front, dead rear, dead side, dead top, and then I will put lines and I will refine volumes.
Yeah.
That's the way I work. That's my process, and I just love it. And my modelers, they love working like that. It's very efficient, very straightforward.
Yeah, no, it's quite straightforward, and that's what I really like about it, because there's no like constant back and forth or confusion that is happening, which is really nice. And that brings me to the next question that I have, that you work with big OEMs, you work with different kinds of OEMs, right? And now you have your own individual practice that you have. How do you like handle feedback from different stakeholders? Like, we have engineers and marketing people, and your own clients. How do you like handle the feedback without losing the vision? Because I know for a fact that clients can be, especially clients who are not designers, it becomes very difficult for them to articulate what is being seen. They usually either are very confused about what they want, or even if you present with the vision that you have and which they also agree with, after like a week or so they'll be like,
They change their mind.
I don't think this is working right. So how do you deal with that kind of feedback and situation?
Some clients are very easy to deal with, like super easy. They just trust. They just trust your vision. That's obviously that's the best.
Kind of.
That's the best experience you can get. Some are exactly as you said. You're gonna present them a design, and they're gonna change their mind every 2 minutes. Then you have to unfortunately, you have to be strict on your offers, because suddenly my time is becoming money. I'm not having a salary every month like in an OEM. So I have to be pretty strict on, okay, we're gonna do 3 weeks of creative phase. We're gonna do 3 weeks or 2 weeks of concept phase. And then after that, we're gonna freeze the design. And design is frozen, because believe me, we are not even halfway of having a beautiful car. Then we're gonna go to 3D, and 3D is gonna go for between 3 to 6 months. So it's not the time to change your mind. So I'm trying to be firm and strict in my process, and it's actually getting better and better. I have clients that I'm working. You will see this summer. I'm doing a car for the Quail, an amazing, beautiful event in California, and that project for my client has been so smooth, like super nice, because he trusts my vision. So that's easy. This electric motorcycle that we did last year or 2 years ago already, a year and a half ago probably. This client super straightforward. He knew what he wanted. He was not a designer. He actually used AI, which actually that's something I like. The client can use AI because it's a way for him. He's not a designer, so he can actually express an idea. And if I show you the AI image for this electric motorcycle project that we had and the final product, it has nothing. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but the essence is there. What's important, like what he wanted to express, we've managed to keep and make a motorcycle that has nothing to do with the original image.
Yeah.
But again, it comes a lot. I'm trying to. I've worked on my image for a lot of years, and I think that now I reached a point where my clients they don't come to me because they are looking for a design company to support them. They actually come to me because they like what I do. They already know me.
Yeah.
So and that's the best thing that could happen, you know, because suddenly you are not a tool, but they come to you because you are a certain. You are giving them the guarantee of a certain style or a certain process, or so actually more less and less I have to fight for my design. It's more of a trustful relationship that I've managed to put in place. So it's all good. And then because I did an engineering school, the communication, like for example the car that I'm doing for Quail at the moment, I have communication with the engineer directly. Actually now that the 2D phase, the creative phase and concept phase is finished, I have actually more interaction with the engineer than the boss of the company itself.
Correct.
We just have I'm just showing him from time to time. I'm going to send him a screenshot of the current status, and he's super happy about it. But now the conversations I have are with the engineers, and together we do these things. Like, okay, Alan, there is a collision here. You went too deep. Okay, how much is the how big is the collision? How far I have to come back? And then it's even more straightforward than that, because he's going to share the data. I'm going to see the collision, and together with my modeler we're going to find a solution. So there is always, when you want to do something, there is always a solution to be found. So it's pretty smooth.
That's actually very straightforward, and I think that's how the design process should also work like, I think. But I mean, that's the ideal way of doing it. I know a lot of times, like, there's this entire joke about how designers do not like engineers and engineers don't like designers. So that fight always exists. But I think the right balance I feel is missing.
Yeah, because it has been done like that, and nobody has raised his voice to make it different. But it could be completely different. I've had amazing relationship with engineers, and when you have this, basically you just have to show them mutual respect. You have to show them that you listen to what they have to say. You have to show them that you have a lot of respect for what they do. And then there is communication possible. And once you get there, once you have actually good relationship and a trustful relationship, then you can do amazing things, because suddenly the engineer is not going to be your worst enemy, but he's going to be your best friend, and he's going to understand what you want to achieve, and he's actually be playing the game of, you know, Alan, we could actually make it better and closer to your design if we would do this. Do you like this idea? Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it. That's very simple, but unfortunately, in this car industry, no, we prefer to have these fights and waste time. And what can I tell you? You know?
Yeah, the lack of dialogue is what is, I feel, causing the problem.
Everybody is stressed. There is an agenda. There is timing. Everybody is always but if we change, everybody is frustrated. Everybody is under a lot of stress for nothing. Nothing.
That is true. So if I ask you that, you know, is there a personal failure or a rejection or a rejected concept that shaped you most as a designer?
No, I think honestly the biggest, it's not failures, but it's regrets, or it's being too naive and trust too much. My biggest regrets yeah, it's that that I have been too naive for this car industry. I don't want to say too passionate, because it's actually very, very good to be passionate.
Yeah.
But no, it's again, it's all the political things that I have encountered in my career, in my journey.
Yeah.
The people that I wanted to help, that have used me, because that's also, you know, when you meet somebody and he sees that you have a lot of followers and blah blah blah, suddenly he's gonna think for his personal interest, and how can I use this guy for me to shine,
Yeah.
and how can I keep him under the radars. And yeah, these unfortunately, I mean, I'm a human being, so of course I'm not bulletproof, and I have been through these things. I've suffered about these things, but it's good, because it's, at the end of the day, it's experience, and unfortunately, you need to go through these painful experiences to you know, to experience them, and to know that they exist, and then you are more careful for the next one, and you can also, then you can orientate yourself, you know, for your career. You can decide, okay, if I go there, that's not good for me. I've been there once and it was bad, so I'm
Let
gonna
me
go
try
the
it.
other way.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, I think we should. It's almost been 2 hours, and
Almost 2 hours. It's a good
yeah.
podcast.
So I'm going to just ask you one last question, and then we can, I think, probably call it a day. What's the best advice? What's the best piece of advice you have ever received about design? Because since you said that, it's a journey that you have, so is there one advice that you have received that has changed your outlook on design, or in life in general, or how you handle situations?
I have a lot of anecdotes, but there is one that was very important for me, had a very, very strong impact, and a very, very simple one. When I was an intern in D3, I can even give credit to the guy. So I did my internship in a place called D3, Détroit, in Guyancourt, not so far away from the Renault Design Center. It's a small company. They are doing show cars. They are building show cars. So they have a team of digital modelers, physical modelers. It's a beautiful company, and the guy was the boss, Frédéric Robin. He was a big Porsche guy, just like me, and he helped me a lot. He taught me a lot, actually. And one day he said, "What would be your dream job? Where would you like to go?" And I said, I would love to work at Porsche, but I know that it would never be possible for me to work there, as everybody would say. And he said, "Have you tried?" And I said, "No, of course I haven't, because I don't think I have what it takes to try." And he told me, "You should try, because maybe when you are around 40, 45, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna tell yourself, I should have tried, and it will be too late." And that was a very simple advice, but a very, very true one. Yeah. And so I put together a portfolio. I was 22. I put together a portfolio, and we went to the Geneva Motor Show. At that time, it was big. It was a big motor show.
Yeah.
So it was back in 2010 or something like that. Something like that. And I had my portfolio, so physical portfolio, under the arm. And I went on the Porsche booth with friends, and they were laughing at me. They were like, "What are you gonna do?" And I said, "I'm gonna find somebody. I'm gonna give my portfolio to that person, and I'm gonna ask if he or she can put it on Michael Mauer's desk." That would never work. And there was there was a lady on that booth with the Porsche, blah blah blah. And I went to that lady and I said, "I'm sorry, do you know Michael Mauer?" Ah, yeah, the director of design. Yeah, he was here this morning. And do you mind if you see him again? Would you give him my portfolio? Yeah, yeah, for sure, I would. And so we move, and then my friends, ha 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 ha. And after I think 2 to 3 months, I received an email from Porsche, and I had an interview on site in Weissach. So my friends were not ha 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 anymore. And I went to that interview, and I had an interview with a guy called Matthias Kula. Very, very kind person, very, very nice guy. He designed the 997 Porsche and a lot of other very, very nice product or body kits. Or very, very nice person. And he actually offered me an internship. And so people are going to think, oh, but why Alan then didn't go to Porsche? And because I already had my internship with Daihatsu Toyota, and it was already approved. And so I told him, but don't worry, I'm doing my internship in Daihatsu Toyota. And then I come to do the internship with Porsche. And but unfortunately, to do an internship in a company in Europe, I don't know in the rest of the world, but you need to have what we call a convention. You need to have a specific paper from the school.
Oh, okay.
And because my studies were finished, the school could not give me that paper. And so I could never have my internship at Porsche. But I tried. And that's the most important. I tried. I had the meeting. And then I tried another time in 2014. Before I left to Shanghai. I had another interview. And then they offered me a job as a headlight designer, but I refused because I didn't want to be a headlight designer, even if it's at Porsche. I wanted to design bodies. And today, if you ask me, I have absolutely no regrets, and I mean it. I never had my experience at Porsche, but I've heard a lot of people that have worked at Porsche, which should be the most beautiful experience in the world, and they have been very frustrated because of the political things. And if you ask me, if I think about it, I think it's better that I didn't have one, because that Porsche is really my brand that made me choose to be a car designer. And I think if I would have suffered of that experience there, I would probably thought that humanity sucks, and I would give up on life. And because truly, I mean, it's when you dream about something and you idolize something so much and you have access to it, and it's completely the opposite of everything you have imagined. I think that can be very devastating for a human being. So I'm very happy I didn't have. I had my Porsche love affair with the 908 long tail. I'm still having it with a client like Marc-Philippe Gambala when I'm doing Porsche products. Porsche is always in my life. It will always be. So I have no regrets, But the most important advice is if you dream about something,
you should do it.
Then give it a shot. Don't be too shy, because you must realize too late that somebody just like you that has nothing better than you, or maybe even less skills than you, tried, and he managed to get there, and then you will hate yourself for not trying. So it's very important to try. And the other advice that I give to all the young kids is work your ass off. Always work very hard, because you can do anything. If there is something you aspire to become, you can become that person. You can do these things if you work hard enough. And of course, it's not going to be easy. But if you are motivated enough, if you are committed enough, then you're going to get there, no question.
No, I think talking to you has definitely made me very positive, and I'm gonna always remember the symbolism of athlete and being a cook, and I think that is something I'm gonna take away from this. So thank you so much, Alan. It was a pleasure talking to you. Honestly, it was such a nice 2 hours that I had with you. And thank you so much for your time. We're really grateful that you could
Oh,
take out time to be here with us.
my
So
pleasure.
thank you so much.